a very good afternoon to everyone who is joining us. Let's give it a little while more while we wait for others to slowly stream and trickle in, alright? Right. So as you slowly stream in, a very good afternoon to everyone who has joined us today for our afternoon session. For those who have just left off the previous noontime session, hope you've had a productive and restful break. Before we head off into our afternoon session, we'll be taking a look at a second set of papers. Okay. So before we begin, perhaps I could give everyone some time to get writing materials ready. For going through our practice paper, it will be preferable if you have some writing materials to take notes, jot down some notes. While you're viewing this on your preferred mobile device, I would also recommend you be able to take down these notes by hand, either on a rough paper, loose pieces of foolscap paper, or preferably in a notebook. Right? Some of the topics and some of the concepts we'll cover for today will be broadly relevant across different sections of your different papers. So I think it would be a good beneficial experience if you could take down these notes such that it's something that you can refer to moving forward as well. Okay. So while we're getting our items in order and getting ready to started, perhaps it would be best for me to establish some background and context. Also, we're writers at work. We're conducting our live stream this afternoon, go through an English paper, specifically a English paper from paper 2, which comprises your short answer question, multiple choice questions, and comprehension questions. But in the interest of time, in order to explore what we're going to cover today in depth, we'll be only covering 4 sections in today's live stream section. If there are other sections you would be interested to listen out for, or you're interested in looking out for, please feel free to let us know in our chat, as well as you can drop a message to our bio, so that we can best tailor our content to best suit your needs. At the end of the day, we want to create content that is relevant not just to us, but as well to our viewers, such that it's something that they can benefit from, right? They're not just here sitting and waiting for the live stream to end, but hopefully there is some actionable takeaway that they can use ahead in the future. Okay. So with that said, perhaps let's get the ball rolling. Okay. As you wait for the other viewers to slowly join in, okay, let's give some context for those that are interested. Today, this afternoon section, we'll be taking a look at P5 end of year paper. From 2023, from Mahabodhi School. Okay. In the recent years, we have seen schools exhibiting a rising trend of setting increasingly difficult papers for their in-school examinations to better prepare their students for the national examinations come P6. And Mahabodhi School is no exception, right? Their 2023 paper is definitely pretty tricky. And if you're not too careful and if you're careless, you could end up committing unforced errors and mistakes that will cost you very precious marks. Okay? So as you go through today's paper, please keep your eyes and ears peeled as we go through some of the finer points of how can we derive our answers from the questions and the clues given. At any point in time, if you have any clarifications or questions to raise, please feel free to raise them in the chat, right? So I can respond to them in a timely manner such that we are able to get any questions, lingering doubts out of the way. And if you wish to have a copy of this set of notes with you as well, feel free to access them. You can access either the hard copies, how they usually sell it by the bulk, or you can find a soft copy of this paper online. Okay? I'm sure there are many websites out there that you can be able to source these past year papers from, so feel free to check them out after this session or even now before we begin to have a set on hand so that you can annotate and take down notes as we go along answering these questions. Okay. With that, let's get started with our first question for today. We'll start off a bit slow as we allow the other users time to get ready as well, right? We don't want to leave others behind. Let's get started with question 1, grammar MCQ. So grammar MCQ across the board is quite standard. You will have a total of 10 grammar MCQ questions in your section A. What are you looking out for in grammar MCQ? Looking out for tenses, looking out for subject-verb agreement, looking out for nouns, looking out for preposition usage. Okay, so be careful as you tackle these questions. We start off with question 1. Mother blank cookies all morning for the charity drive. So mother blank cookies all morning for the charity drive. There is something that is in the present tense for the charity drive. It is in the present tense, and not only is it in the present tense, it's also an action, a job, a task that is still ongoing. Yes? So it should be in the present continuous tense. All morning, the duration of the entire morning. Now looking at our subject in this sentence, we have mother. Mother is singular, just one person, right? Okay. In this question over here, just looking at a singular mother. So based on these three conditions of present tense, continuous verb, and singular subject, the only answer that fits all three criteria is option 3, has been baking. Any questions? Okay. Right, so we use has been baking because has been is in the present tense, which fits the context of the sentence being all morning. Continuous tense because she is still baking for the charity drive, hence we use the continuous tense of baking. Finally, has and not have because mother is a singular subject, so we use has over here, not have. Any questions? Okay. For those that are slowly streaming in, today we're going through the 2023 paper from Mahabodhi's P5 cohort. If you have any questions or you'd like to get a copy of the paper as well, feel free to check them out online. Okay. Question 2. Pat will travel to China, blank she, asked Mrs. Ong. Okay. So this question is unnecessarily complicated. What you can do, because this is indirect, this is reported speech, right? Mrs. Ong says something. Just remove the dialogue quotation marks, remove the dialogue tag. Let's just focus on the main sentence within the quotation marks here. Pat will travel to China, comma, blank. So what goes in over here? You need to fill it up with a verb and a subject. Okay. I see some answers from Tinker and some other viewers as well. That's great. Let's see if they are correct later on, right? Let's hold on to that thought for the moment. Pat will travel to China. You need a verb and a subject. In this case here, the subject is Pat. Okay. So Pat over here, you have the subject she. Okay. No issue over here. All are fine. Okay. Hi, welcome back, Sean. How's your EAE? I know you had to step out just now in the earlier session for your EAE. Hope it went well. Okay. Right, it's great to see that you're back for our afternoon session. Okay, that's great. It's fine. I wish you all the best. I hope it went well. Hope you're able to go to the desired school of your choice. Okay. Now let's go on to the verb. Since we have our subject decided upon, how do we choose the verb? Okay. For verb, we need to follow by two rules. Firstly, we need a verb in the same tense. What is the tense? In the main statement, we have will travel, right? Will travel is your tense. So you need to keep it as will travel. Okay, this is your tense. Okay, so first step, will travel. Second step, okay, you need the opposite action. What do I mean by the opposite action? Oops, maybe it cuts in a bit. Opposite action, if I have will, the opposite of will is will not. Okay. The opposite of will is will not. So that is what we are looking for in our answer. We need an opposite action in the same tense, which is will not. Okay. So among our four options over here, which has the proper verb tense? Okay. For Tinker, you got your answer just now. Do you want to change your answer? Are you sticking with your original answer of option 1? Okay. So looking for an answer that follows along will not. The option is option 2. Well done, Kratos. Kratos. Okay, isn't Kratos dead? Oh, okay. Well done, Kratos. Option 2 is will not. Right, contraction of will not is won't. Okay, so that is how you derive your answer for these kinds of questions with a question tag. Okay. So be careful of this. Look out for questions like this in your papers as you go along during your revision. Question 3. Question 3 is simpler, but it's easy to make a careless mistake. Right. Okay. Yes. Well, as you can see, right, perhaps some of us here today are perhaps struggling with certain parts of the English language, but it takes courage, it takes self-awareness to recognize your shortcomings and be able to confront them courageously and try your best to continue moving forward with a certain goal in mind. Okay, so good job so keep on working hard. Okay. Now next, let's continue on. Neither Peter nor his classmates blanked the project that was due yesterday. Okay. How do you answer this question? Neither nor. You have two subjects over here. Okay. Wilson has the answer in. How about the other viewers? Kratos in as well? Is there a certain rule you should follow over here? Or how did you come about to find your answer? Okay, yes, yesterday definitely tells you that was due yesterday. Tells you it's in the past, the action of completion is past tense. And more than one. Yes, rock and roll. Is this the same rock and roll from morning session? Okay, yes, Rock and Roll King who is back. Thank you very much. Well done. That is the proximity rule. When you have two subjects using neither nor or either or, go with the one that's closest to the blank. Okay. Whoever is closest to the blank over here, use them as your reference. In this case, you have classmates, plural. So because it's plural, you need to fill it in with a plural verb as well. Okay. So this is, as Rock and Roll King has correctly pointed out, this is called as the proximity rule. Okay. So even if you do not know the name of this rule, do not fret, do not worry. You're not tested on naming the rules in your exams, you're just tested on applying the rules. Okay? Even if you don't have a specific name of the rule or you don't really know how to spell it, it's fine. Just remember when you have neither nor or either or, whichever subject is closest to the blank, take reference from there as singular or plural. Okay. Any questions? Have completed. Okay, well done, Wilson. Well done, Rock and Roll and Kratos. And yeah, okay. Okay, well done for those who have gotten it right. For those that haven't, don't be discouraged. Perhaps the next question is the one that you'll be able to get it right. Okay. Harry is going blank, a difficult time, and needs our help. Okay. This is a preposition use question. Okay. All of these are what we call prepositions. Words that indicate the direction or the position of the verb. Among these four prepositions, which is collocated with going blank, a difficult time? Okay. I see Star coming in with your first answer for today, along with Wilson, Rock and Roll. And is there a heart shape? Okay, I guess it's a heart shape. All of you have chosen option 4, and yes, that is correct. Okay, option 4, going through. To go through is to undergo a hard or difficult time. Okay, so this is a phrasal verb that you can take note of. What is a phrasal verb? Well, a phrase is a sequence of two or more words or short sentences. Read together, they mean one action or one verb. Okay? So in this case here, to go through, that means to undergo an experience. Okay. Thank you very much for the follow, for all those that are joining us for this afternoon. Hopefully this session is something you'll find beneficial and fruitful as we move through these questions. And on to question 5. Larry will join us for the movie. Blank, he has to attend his enrichment class. Many of the viewers in the chat, right? Secondary standard, no, for KitKat, today's paper is set at the P5 end of year level, so we're looking at upper primary. However, many of the grammar fundamentals here will be relevant, especially for secondary school students, right? Because in secondary school, you have your editing section. Editing, you need to point out the grammar mistakes in a sentence. So you also need to have your grammar fundamentals with you. Okay? So you have to keep in mind also that even though you have a different form of question style and question format, the same fundamentals still apply even in secondary school and onward. Larry will join us blank for the movie unless he has to attend his enrichment class. Okay? What we have at the start over here, Larry will join us for the movie. That is the rule. It is a certainty, it's a guarantee that he will join us for the movie. Except on the occasion that he has to attend his enrichment class. So this is an exception to the rule. So among these four conjunctions over here, which conjunction is used to introduce an exception to a rule? I see Wilson, Rock and Roll all have different answers. How about the others? What do we think? If we're introducing an exception to a rule, this will take place except for this occasion or this exception coming into play. To introduce an exception to the rule, you should use the conjunction of, you should use the conjunction of unless. Unless is used to introduce an exception to the rule. Okay. Let me just note it down for your reference. Introduce exception to the rule. For example, you should be tuning in to this live stream unless you're in school or you're at work. Then perhaps you should focus on your work or with your schoolwork. Okay, so unless is used to introduce an exception to a rule that is put in place over here. The rule being Larry joining us for the movie. Okay, all right. So well done for those that got it right. Kit Kat and Rob and Roll King. For those that perhaps didn't quite catch on to the right answer, no worries, do not feel discouraged because this is a chance for you to be able to understand that, hey, I have this gap in my knowledge, I have this blind spot, now I'm aware of it and I can fix it. So perhaps you have also benefited from this as well, right? Sometimes you have to learn from our mistakes. Okay? So great job for those that have gotten it right and those who have learned why they're wrong. And that concludes our first set of 5 grammar MCQ questions. Okay? For those that are just streaming in, we're taking a look today at the P5 end of year paper from Mahabodhi School in 2023. Okay. So if you would like to have a copy of this set of, if you'd like to annotate on the set of notes just like this, you can find the paper online. You can download it on your respective mobile devices such that you can annotate and take down the notes as we go along. Let's move ahead on to questions 6 to 10. While Ali was admiring the scenery, a pickpocket blanked his wallet. While Ali was admiring the scenery, a pickpocket blanked his wallet. So while over here is a conjunction used to indicate two things happening at the same time. Move this down, happening at the same time. What are the two things happening? The first thing happening was Ali admiring his scenery. The second thing was a pickpocket stealing his wallet. Okay. So since these two things happen at the same time, right? This tells us that they must both be of the same tense. Does that make sense to everyone? Two things happening at the same time, so they should be in the same tense, right? Cannot be one past, one present. So how should we go about answering this question? We look at the reference from and the front. Was admiring. Was over here is in your simple past tense. Was admiring, your simple past tense. So your answer over here must also be in the simple past tense, right? Because they are happening at the same time. And so the answer that is in the simple past tense is option 1, stole. Okay. Option 2, has. Has is the present tense. Had stolen is the past perfect tense. You're not looking at present perfect or past perfect because these are happening at the same time. You only use past perfect if one took place before the other. But Ali was admiring it at the same time as the pickpocket stealing it, so we do not use the past perfect tense. Okay. Finally, was stolen. Was stolen isn't quite right. Was stolen refers to the passive voice, so we talk about his wallet. While Ali was admiring the scenery, his wallet was stolen by a pickpocket. Okay? But since over here referring to the pickpocket as the active voice carrying out the action, you have to use the simple past tense. Question from Tom and Cherry. Instead of while, can we use as well? At the start of the sentence, yes, you can also use as at the start of a sentence to indicate two actions that are taking place at the same time. Okay. But that's not so much the focus of this question over here. This question focuses more on the verb tense of the two actions, the act of stealing and the act of admiring. Number 4, past tense. Yes, number 4 is past tense, but we're looking at the relation of the verb over here. In this case here, this verb is used in the passive voice. His wallet was stolen by the pickpocket. So the wallet was stolen by the pickpocket. However, if you're doing the active voice over here, which is what we're looking for in this sentence, the subject is carrying out this action over here, so it must be in the active voice. Was admiring. In this case here, was we take reference from was. It's just admiring over here is in a past continuous tense, but we're looking at reference from was because this act of admiration is taking place throughout the entire duration, while the act of stealing it just took place in that quick moment. Okay, so the overall is still past continuous tense, but we're looking at the past just for the act of stealing or the act of theft. Okay. Does that answer our questions? Okay, thank you very much again for the very active feedback. Please do not hesitate to answer or put any questions you have in the chat as well. If you are confused at any point in time or you feel lost, you feel as if your answer is not properly addressed, please feel free to let me know so that I can explain it for the benefit of everyone as well. Okay. Okay, on to question 7. I take my vitamins every day to prevent myself from blank a cold. Okay. So these are different verbs, which is the correct one. Okay, good try. Yep. Okay. Okay, Gaia is back from a morning session. Thinkers and Kit Kat Rock and Roll King all coming in with your answers. I think this one is pretty cut and dry, right? From catching a cold. To prevent myself from catching a cold, that means to come down with the cold, come down with an illness. Question 8. Jay was in the laboratory when he saw his classmate blank the beaker. We have had broken or was breaking. How should you go about solving this question? Okay. Gaia and Eden coming in with your answers. Jangolin as well. Wilson, I think you're referring to question option 4 was breaking, right? And Rock and Roll King is coming in with 1. Okay, so it looks like we have answers from all 4 options. Let's go through the question and find a better answer. Okay. Jay was in the laboratory was simple past tense when he saw simple past tense. So here, should this be in the simple past tense? Not quite. Okay. Why is this not in the simple past tense? There's a unique circumstance over here. Saw is the past tense of seeing, right? To see something. And in this case here, seeing is what is known as a perception verb. This sounds like a very big and scary word, right? What does a perception verb mean? Okay, perception verbs just means verbs that relate to your 5 senses. What you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you feel. Okay, right, so perception verb just refers to verbs that relate to your 5 senses. I see something, I hear something, I smell something. In this case, when you have a verb that follows a perception verb, it must be in the present tense. Okay. The verb that follows a perception verb must be in the present tense. Okay. For example, I saw the bird fly outside the window, right? So to see So I saw the bird fly, fly being in the present tense. So that is why we choose option 1, break. Any questions? Okay, this can be pretty tricky if you're not familiar with this rule. So just take note of this rule, alright? Whenever you come across a perception verb, the one that follows after it must be in its base form for present tense. Okay? Question 9. Mary's close group of friends blank for her at the courtyard just now. Blank just now. Just now tells us that this was something happening in the present, future, or past. Okay? Just now tells us that this is something that happens in the past. Okay? So off the top of our heads, we can already eliminate is waiting, are waiting, right? Because is, are both present tense. Now, when do we use was? When do we use were? In this case here, we see group of friends, right? Friends, plural. So it seems like the closest one is plural. Yes? Not just yet. Because not just friends, but looking at a group of friends. The group of friends over here is the collective noun. What is a collective noun? A collective noun is used to refer to a group of items. For example, a swarm of bees, an army of ants, a group of friends. And group over here is just one group, right? Not multiple groups. Just one group, so it is singular. Thus, we use was waiting for singular. Was waiting. Okay, good job, Chachi. Chachi also pointed it out. It is not multiple groups, just one group. Just the one group over here. Okay. And I think Rock and Roll King also got the answer there eventually, so well done. Okay. Anyone who is unclear why we refer to it as singular? Okay. Yes, Eden, this is P5 end of year paper, P5. Right, you can see even for P5 level, it can be pretty tricky already, right? This is what 11-year-olds nowadays have to be able to be proficient in. So definitely, you need to keep brushing up on your English fundamentals regardless of your age. So close group is the collective noun. So using group as your subject of reference. And subject is singular over here. Since group, there's no groups. There's no S, just a singular group. Last one, question 10. Peter did not have blank homework today. He only had to finish one piece of math homework. We have any, little, much, or many. Which is the correct quantifier to use over here? Which quantifier carries the idea that is being captured in the sentence? Now this can be pretty tricky. You cannot just rely on the first sentence alone. You have to look at the second sentence for information. What is the second? He had to finish one piece of math homework. Is that a lot? I don't think so. So we know that he has a low amount of homework to do. Okay. Not a lot of homework to do. Okay. So in this case here, looking at homework. Homework is a term that we call an uncountable noun. And at this point, you might be a bit skeptical. What do you mean it's uncountable? You can count one piece of homework, two pieces of homework. Yes, you can. But homework itself is an uncountable noun used to refer to the general workload you have. You don't say you have one homework, two homeworks, three homeworks, right? You say you have one worksheet, two worksheets, three worksheets. Okay? But homework as a whole is just to refer to the general umbrella term for all of the work you have to do at home. So it's an uncountable noun, and since it is an uncountable noun, you have to use little or much. Okay. Many is used for countable nouns. For example, I have many pages of homework to do, because you can count each page of homework. Did not have any, that means none at all, which isn't the case, right? He still has one piece of math worksheet, so that isn't true here. Between little and much, the answer is not much homework. Okay. Did not have much homework today. Okay, so well done for everyone who got it right. Okay. Especially for our new joiners, June, Valine, and perhaps Ryan as well. Ryan getting it right for first try. Well done for all new joiners. And to answer Eden's question, is money an uncountable noun? Okay. In this case here, money is uncountable because money is referring, again, just like homework, to the general group of items. You can say I have many coins in my wallet, I have many dollar notes in my pocket, but money as a whole is uncountable. It is a general group of denominations. ChatGPT. Okay, I'm not ChatGPT, but thank you for listening in as well. Okay, please don't steal my work, ChatGPT. Money as a whole refers to the general umbrella term of the amount of money that you have. So that is also uncountable. Yes, so to answer Eden's question, yes, money is uncountable. You don't count one money, two monies, three monies. Yeah? Yes. So like furniture, like furniture, money, homework, these are all referring to a general umbrella term for items within their category. Okay, they are all uncountable. So thank you very much, Ryan. Thank you very much, Eden, for the clarification for this question as well. Hi, Cookies. Okay. Any questions for our grammar section? If there are no questions for grammar, perhaps we can shift gears a bit over to vocab. Okay. Some might find vocab to be easier, while other students might find vocab to be even more difficult than grammar. That differs on the individual, but across the board, if you read widely, you tend to find vocab simpler or easier to tackle because you come across these words before. While for grammar, it's often, if you are often in conversation, you speak English at home, you converse in English often enough, you're more acquainted and more familiar with the rules of the English language. So you do better in grammar in that case. Alright? So if you want to be good in both, you both need to speak as well as to read English books and speak in English widely. Question 11. Let's go through vocab MCQ first for the section breakdown. For vocab MCQ, it's similar to grammar. We also have 10 questions. But the questions are split along two sections. The first section you have fill in the blanks. Just like what we had for grammar earlier, fill in the blank of 5 questions. Second type of vocab question you will come across are substitution or replacement questions. How do these come about? You'll be given a sentence with one of the words underlined. You have to replace the underlined word with one of the options given. Okay, so there will also be 5 of those. Let's start with the first one. I think some students already have an answer in, so let's take a look. The basketball finals had to be blank to a later date due to the storm. Okay, so this is something that some viewers already pointed out. Due to the storm, it had to be delayed or postponed. Okay, is it cancelled? Is it cancelled? No, right? Because it's to a later date. So it will still happen. It is still ongoing, just not today, but on another date. Okay? So it has not been cancelled, just postponed for now. Among these 4 options over here, they are what we call phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are short phrases, a sequence of 2 or more words that when read together form a single action or verb. What do each of these phrasal verbs mean? Let's take a look. The first one, to put up. To put up is to tolerate. I cannot put up with my younger brother screaming and crying, right? So I cannot put up with something, I cannot tolerate it. To put off is to delay, right? I was supposed to do my homework, but I put it off until the last minute. I was supposed to revise for my test, but I put it off until the last minute. To put out depends on the context. It can be to put out a fire, to extinguish it. To extinguish a fire is to put it out. Or if you're going to display a sign or an advertisement, right? If you're going to put out an advertisement, it means to display an advertisement for everyone to see. Okay. So it really depends on how it's being used in the context of the sentence. Put out is used either to extinguish a fire or to display an advertisement or a sign. And finally, option 4, to put away. Put away is to keep, right? When you go to school, you have a test, your teacher tells you, put away your other materials, get your writing materials to start the test. Okay? So to put away is to keep. In this case, you're looking for a phrasal verb that covers the idea of postponing the basketball finals. So it is option 2. Okay, so well done. Well done. I see Ryan, Thinkers, Rock and Roll, Gaia, Wilson, and June, right? So well done all 6 of you for getting the right answers. Okay. For those that are familiarizing yourself with our questions also, if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay. We have seen some very active discussion today from some of viewers already, so I hope everyone can carry on with the spirit and continue asking good questions. Question 12. Science fiction and mystery are some book blank that you can borrow from the library. Okay, so this refers to specific topics, specific categories of books. What do you call them? Okay, let's take a look. We have levels, groups, genres, and classes. Which is the closest match? Okay. Once again, Thinkers and Rock and Roll King are quick on the button, quick to send in their answers. Bailin joining in as well with Nurashikin. First answer from Nurashikin. Gaia coming in with option 3 as well. Okay, so a genre. Okay, and yes, Wilson, well done, Wilson, as well. Genres are used to describe books that have similar themes or similar concepts, not just for books. Genres are used to describe books, films, even television, right? For example, mystery or comedy or even horror, right? So genres refer to the style in which this book or this movie or this television series is being shown or depicted in. Okay. So well done, June, as well, dropping by with the answer. Do you do P6 English from Eden? For today's session right now, we are doing just P5 for today. But in our future sessions ahead of time, we will have plans. We will be doing P6 as well. So keep a lookout for our live stream and our live stream schedule so that you can see which sessions are most applicable for your level. Okay. Along the way, if you find these P5 questions a bit too simplistic or a bit easy, perhaps you can challenge yourselves, right? Instead of just getting the right answer, try to find the definitions of the other words also. Why is levels, groups, or classes not right in this case over here? Okay. So push yourself a bit more than the question requires you to test your full understanding of it. Okay, we can try that out in the next question, question 13. Within seconds from the explosion, the wooden hut was blank in flames. We have 4 answers over here. Covered, engulfed, consumed, and submerged. All of them carry the idea of being completely filled by. Which is the correct answer? And why are the other answers wrong? Okay. I see Eden, Wilson, Rock and Roll, Bailin coming in with the answer. and thinkers joining in as well. Okay, it looks like we have a pretty even divide between 1 and 2. ST and She Speaks Sun joining in with your first answers as well. Option 2 with Gaia coming in with 2. Okay, so it seems that we have a slight majority towards 2 as June is backing it up. So let's go through 3 and 4 first since we are undecided between 1 and 2. When do you use 3? You use 3 when talking consume. To consume, you might know it as to eat something, right? You consume a lunch. But to consume is also to be overwhelmed by. Okay. While studying for my exams, I was consumed by anxiety. I was consumed by stress. Okay. So to be consumed by is to be overwhelmed. Meanwhile, to submerge something is to put it under water. Okay. Submerge is to cover something underwater. Cover underwater. Right, thank you for the heart, Shaman. Okay, thank you very much for the heart. It means a lot to us. Let us know that this is something that you find useful and fruitful for your learning as well. Okay, thank you very much for the heart. On to covered and engulfed. When do we use covered? When do we use engulfed? Okay. To cover something, as you know, partially is to cover something about this sheet of paper over here. I'm using this sheet to cover the top sheet of paper over here, right? To engulf also means to cover. However, it is one level up from cover. It means to cover completely. To cover or to surround completely. Okay. While this sheet of paper over here might be partially covering the sheet under it, to engulf something is to be covered or surrounded completely. Okay. The intensity is a lot stronger than just the neutral word of cover. Now looking back at the sentence over here, within seconds of the explosion, the wooden hut was blank in flames. What do you think the state of a wooden hut was like? Okay. In this case here, it was going up in flames entirely. And in this case here, because you use in flames, it is completely covered or surrounded by. Question, why is it consumed, not so much overwhelmed by, for eaten in flames? Okay, good question by Shen or Shah. Why do you say consumed as overwhelmed by and not make consumed as eaten in the flames? Well, index says here consumed. Consumed needs to be followed up with consumed by preposition usage. Okay. Okay. So based on the preposition over here, consumed by flames. To consume something, you need something to do the consumption. You need a subject or an actor to do the consumption over here. If the flames is consuming the wooden hut, you need by to indicate who was doing the consuming. Okay. In this case here, because your only preposition is in, so the one that best fits is engulfed. If you use consume, you need the preposition of by that comes after it for collocation. So yes, even for this, you also need a bit of grammar, know how to fit in the correct answer. But if you do not use grammar, you rely just on vocab alone, you can also get the same answer on being surrounded by flames. It's just that if you're also strong in grammar, it can give you a head start or boost up to get your answer here as well. Let's answer the question for Shen. Okay. If along the way, if any other questions or you do not feel your question was adequately answered or resolved, please let me know. I can revisit the question, alright? Question 14. Even the doctors were surprised at David's sudden blank of fever and could not find the cause. So we have 4 words over here, all relating to illnesses or sickness. We've come across many of these, especially with the recent pandemic. Which word over here best describes the idea of the sudden beginning of a fever? Looking for a beginning. User 866 coming in strong with your first answer, onset. Do the others agree? Rock and roll seems to disagree. Seems it's diagnosis, right? Maybe it's diagnosis. What's the difference between onset and diagnosis? Right, and Gaia also seems to disagree. Thinks it's diagnosis as well. Okay, what do we think over here? Okay, maybe let me get this out of the way first. Occurrence. Occurrence refers to happening. Not specific enough for what we're looking at this question over here. We want to focus on the suddenness of it. So happening itself is barely enough to cover what we have as compared to the other words that are more specific in usage. Okay. Outlook. If you have a medical outlook, is a forecast or prediction of how it's like in the future. Okay, so a medical outlook is that if you contract COVID on day 1, day 2, day 3, you'll suffer the worst of the COVID symptoms, right? You have a sore throat, you have a dry cough, you have high fever. Okay, so a forecast or a prediction of how things will be like in the future. Now we want to look at onset and diagnosis. When do you use onset? When do you use diagnosis? Diagnosis is given not by the patient but by the doctor. The doctor diagnoses you. Okay. So this is a doctor's opinion. For example, after taking your vitals, checking your heartbeat, your doctor gives the diagnosis. The doctor diagnoses you with a certain illness or condition, right? So to give you his or her factual opinion. While onset refers to the start of something. The start of an event, the start of an activity. In this case here, both of them are related to medical terminology, but the one that is a closer match about the sudden beginning of David's fever, the closer match to David's sudden beginning of fever is onset, sudden onset. Okay, so for those managed to correct your answers in time, great job. For Gaia, June, Rock and Roll, and user 866. Well done. Okay. Final question, question 15. Justin is blank. I wish would stop harassing me. Okay. Stop harassing me. So think about it, if someone harasses you, how would you feel? How do you feel if someone keeps harassing you? Okay. Perhaps you'd feel irritated, you'd feel bothered, right? Irritated, you would feel bothered by someone's harassment. So what we have over here for our options today, we have four idioms to choose from. Idiom questions are particularly tricky because you need to have a good grasp of the English language. What does harassment mean? Harassment refers to any action that is designed to cause stress to someone. Actions that cause someone to stress out. Okay. The first one, a piece of cake. A piece of cake is something that's easy to do, an easy feat. An easy task to accomplish. Okay. Option 2, a thorn in my flesh. Think about it, if you were holding onto a stem of a rose and suddenly you get a thorn in its flesh in your finger, how would you feel? It wouldn't be very painful, but it will be pretty irritating, pretty annoying, right? Imagine the size of an ant bite. It feels pretty annoying in that moment. The apple of my eye. The apple in my eye, that means someone who is the object of my admiration. For example, if you have a liking for or you have a crush on someone in school, They are the apple of your eye, someone that you admire. Okay. And finally, to blow your own trumpet, someone who blows his own trumpet is someone who is boasting. Someone who is boasting, someone who is exaggerating their own capabilities and strengths when that isn't the case in reality. Okay. Some of our 4 idioms over here. Just indicate idioms. These questions are pretty tricky, so for Eden, if you're still in Eden, hope you are able to understand or define these 4 idioms by yourselves without me having to go through. Okay, so perhaps this is a challenge you can put forth for yourself. The answer that best matches our blank over here is a thorn in my flesh. Okay, option 2. It's not painful enough to send me to the hospital, but it's just annoying enough to cause me to feel irritated. Okay, so well done, Gaia, June, She Speaks Sun, and I think earlier we had rock and roll as well. Okay, well done all 4 of you. Any questions? And with that, we have completed our fill in the blank sections for vocab. But stay tuned because we'll be moving straight after to our substitution section where we need to replace the underlined word with a best option. Now let's move ahead when you're ready, flipping over the passage. Okay, so this passage is pretty timely. It talks about the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic that happened. It feels like a lifetime ago, but yet again, it feels like it just happened yesterday, right? The pandemic. COVID-19 has changed life for people everywhere. People adjusted to new norms like social distancing, routine temperature checks, and washing their hands more. Businesses around the world faced big changes too. A few companies around the world looked at their response to the virus in an unexpected direction. These companies then decided to manufacture goods or equipment that can help the fight against COVID-19. LVMH is the biggest luxury company in the world. Back then, when the French government warned the public that hospitals in Paris might face hand sanitizer shortages, LVMH converted our perfume production lines to produce hand sanitizer. Right? Pretty interesting. If you have Louis Vuitton hand sanitizers, I think that would be a pretty nifty gift. Okay. Let's start off with question 16, sorry. People adjusting to new norms. Right, to adjust to new norms, to adjust to new changes in your environment. Which of the 4 over here capture the idea of adjusting best? Okay. At the bottom of the page, which of these 4 options carries the idea of adjusting to new changes in your environment? Right answers are flooding in with Rock and Roll King and well, I'm not saying that username, but yes, we have some answers on the screen over here. Okay, the correct answer is option 2, to adapt. To adapt is to adjust to changes in environment. Okay, going back to science. In your surroundings or your environment. Okay. So well done for Rock and Roll as well as the other user that got the right answer. Okay, well done both of you. Okay. Question 17. Social distancing, routine temperature checks, and washing their hands more. Okay. So routine temperature checks that are done on the schedule, happen often. Which is the correct answer here on question 17? You're looking for an answer that replaces temperature checks that are on schedule. Right, we have many answers coming in over here. Again, many of us have gotten the right answer, something that is regular, right? Something that is regular, that is scheduled. All the other answers also carry the idea of something happening often, but regular is the closest fit to routine because it talks about a certain routine or schedule that you need to follow or abide by. The response to the virus in an unexpected direction, unexpected, without expectation, contrary to previous expectations. Which of the four carry this idea of being contrary to previous expectations? No one saw it coming. Okay. We have some users joining in the chat over here. Maybe for those that are new, which do you think best answers question 18, where the highlighter is? Okay, right. So it's Gaia, Rock and Roll June, and our last user has correctly pointed out over here, unanticipated to be unexpected. Okay, well done all four of you. So that means anticipate. To anticipate is to prepare for the future. Okay. For example, I anticipate that next year I have a new form teacher in my class, right? So I anticipate. Question 19. Decide to manufacture goods or equipment that can help the fight against COVID-19. So to help, to give support to. Give support to. Which of the four over here carries the idea of giving support to something? Okay, we have answers one coming in. Don Donkey, wow. Is this the official Don Donkey store? Okay. Thank you for taking a break from singing your jingle to join us today, this afternoon. Right, the correct answer is aid, right? To provide aid is to provide relief, to provide help. Okay. To provide relief, to provide support. The other verbs don't quite capture the idea of providing help to providing support. Okay, so we do not go with those. We stick to providing aid. Final question, question 20. The French government warned the public the hospitals in Paris might face hand sanitizer shortages. Okay. So to warn is to warn. Yes, we've seen that we've gotten it the right time as well. So good job to users Rock and Roll King, Gaia. We are using alert. Okay, why alert and not inform? Inform can be used over here, but inform is too neutral, right? Not urgent enough. Just to inform you, oh, so just so you know about this. However, to alert carries a sense of urgency. Something that you need to act on immediately, address the issue quickly, otherwise it could spiral out of control. So because these two are slightly different in nuance, you stick with option 1 over here about warning. Warning you to do something about the situation before it gets worse. Okay. So well done for answering the right question, especially for Linda Cooper, getting in your right answer for your first response. Well done. Okay. Getting off on the right foot, especially as well as for all those that have gotten right answers so far. Any questions on our vocab section? Alright, if there are no questions for vocab, perhaps it's time we go back to basics with our grammar fundamentals. Okay. And the best way to do so is with our grammar close. When I take a look at our grammar close passage over here, today's grammar close passage talks about animals. Specifically, the king of the... Was it the king? Well, maybe not the king of the jungle, that's a lion, but we're looking at tigers for today, right? Today's grammar close will be talking about tigers. Anyone here likes tigers? Right? Okay. tigers are fearsome creatures. We know that they have an esteemed place in many cultures, societies, as well as folklore. Tigers normally carry a reputation with them. However, over the centuries, tigers have been overhunted to the point of endangerment and even extinction. Okay, so let's take a look at the population of tigers in the world. While South America blank the largest rainforest in the world, known as the Amazon. Okay, so South America blank the largest rainforest. South America here is referred to as a single continent. Single continent. So it's singular. We should use option. Right, good job in the comments. We have option F. Okay, option F has the largest rainforest in the world. Okay, good job, Rock and Roll King, for joining in as well. Okay, and good job to June as well. Okay. Before we proceed, I'd like to draw everyone's attention to one of the options. Option H over here, IF, if it is a typo, it should be IS, is. Okay, so take note of the change over here. The typo should be IS for is. While South America has the largest rainforest in the world, known as the Amazon, our part of the world is also home, blank, a similar habitat. Okay, so this is collocation, words that go together. It is home, okay, exactly, it is home to a similar habitat. Okay, well done, Rock and Roll King and she, and Gaia. Okay, good job. And June as well, getting the right collocation here, home to a similar habitat. In fact, the forests of Malaya have something even the Amazon blank not. Okay, remember just now Amazon, the forest, singular, right? Just the name of the forest, a proper noun. Okay. So the forest of Malaya is something that even the Amazon does not. Okay, well done for those that got it right. Angel joining in as well, good job. Does not, tigers. Around the world, about 97% of the world's tigers were lost during the last century. 4 out of 9 species of tigers blank now extinct. We're looking at the four species blank now extinct. Okay. So what is the correct verb form over here? Okay. We're looking at are. Okay, so for those that got it right, including Angel, second answer right in a row now. 4 out of 9 species of tigers are now extinct. This is mainly due to the loss of habitat or poaching. There are fewer blank 150 million tigers left in the wild. Okay, so fewer blank here is a comparative adverb. Okay, which comparison term should you use over here? There are fewer okay, so the correct comparative you should use over here is fewer than something. All right, be mindful over here. Less than, fewer than. Okay, than is just to indicate a comparison between two subjects over here. There are fewer than 150 million tigers left in the wild. They are considered close to extinction, blank, critically endangered. Okay, so these are two things referring to the same status, but two different names referring to the same status. They are interchangeable, right? Interchangeable. So which conjunction should you use over here? You can refer to them by either name, either title. They are interchangeably used. In this case here, they both mean the same thing, so you can use or. Okay, Close to extinction means critically endangered. Critically endangered means close to extinction. Okay? Both are interchangeable, they mean the same thing, so you can use or. Either title works here. Unless forest habitats are protected and deforestation stops, the Malayan tiger blank become extinct sooner rather than later. Okay, so here that seems to be a certainty, right? Almost like a rule. Okay, what should be the blank over here? The Malayan tiger will become extinct. Okay, well done, Shishi, getting the right answer with Gaia as well. Okay? The Malayan tiger will become extinct sooner rather than later. Okay? And we see over here, unless, right, the start of our grammar MCQ, unless is used to introduce an exception to the rule. Unless forest habitats are protected, Malayan tiger will become extinct. Okay, so well done, June. Welcome, Rock and Roll King, for getting the right answers in. Presently, the illegal trading of tiger parts is the most crucial factor affecting the survival of the Malayan tiger. Even though poaching is illegal, it blank still ongoing. Okay, so poaching over here, it is, okay, well done, Ryan and Rock and Roll. It is still ongoing as there is a high demand, a demand blank, a demand for. Okay, so once again, this is a collocation over here. Well done, Ryan, for getting 2 answers right in a row. And I see Shishi coming out the right answer, along with Gaia, June, and Rock and Roll. So thank you very much for the regular viewers as well, entering your right answers in. Well done. One main challenge to the conservation of tigers is that wild tigers are not all found blank just one place. Okay? To be found what in one place? Which preposition should you use over here? They're not all found in one place. Okay, well done, Shishi, Rock and Roll, and Gaia once again with the right answer. Seems like we have a very strong batch of grammar viewers here today. Okay, so let's keep up the good momentum for this. Okay, well done for all of you that gotten it right. And June as well, well done for getting it right. Instead, they are scattered all over a large area of forest. Okay, so very well done for the grammar section. Many of you have gotten the right answer consistently for most of the blanks, so good job. Okay, let's keep the momentum up as we head into our final section for today, our editing passage. So we move on to editing passage section F. What will section F usually cover? The number of questions you get for editing passage is indicated at the top. You have 12 questions to answer. What kind of questions do you get? You get either spelling, where the word is misspelled, you are asked to spell it correctly, or grammar question. Grammar, some words are in the wrong tense, wrong verb forms. You need to change it. Okay. 6 spelling, 6 grammar. It's not always neatly split down the middle, 6 each, but usually it's an even number. There won't be an overwhelming majority of grammar or spelling, right? It will be quite even most of the time. May not always be 6, 6, might be 7, 5, 8, 4 on rare occasions. Okay. Now, they ask you for spelling or grammar questions, but take note, it's either or. There will never be a question that asks you to change both the spelling and the grammar. Okay? Only spelling or grammar, not both. And also importantly, there is no vocab substitutions. They won't ask you, replace this word with another word with the same meaning. Alright, there will never be vocab substitutions in your editing passage. It is either spelling errors or grammar mistakes. Let's take a look at the passage over here. Cassie and Annie are best friends. The two of them were inseparable. In class, they sat side by side, went for recess together, and even went out together in weekends. Okay? So what we see over here is a preposition mistake. In should not be used. What should be the correct preposition here? Okay. During weekends, okay? From Shishi, you have an answer during weekends. How about the others? Do you agree? During weekends? Right, rock and roll has a different answer over here, on weekends. Okay. How about the rest? Do y'all agree with one of the two answers, or do you think a third answer should be correct? Okay, so it seems Gaia has joined the answer on. In this case here, you should use on and not during weekends. Why do you not use during? During indicates over a span or over a period of time, while on refers to a specific section in time that you are looking forward to, which are the weekends in this case. Okay. So went out together on weekends. Many thought that they were real sisters. 5 years ago, when Cassie was in primary 2, Annie was the new girl who had just transferred to the school in the second half of the year. Okay. Just transferred, it's a spelling mistake you're looking at. Transfer, no problem over here. At the end of it, make sure you include an R before the ED, alright? It's not just tagging on the ED for past tense. Take note, you need a second R in the middle as well. So be careful with the spelling. Students normally mess up this part, they just leave one R in when there should be two R's. Okay, so be careful. Transferred to the school in the second half of the year. Cassie's family had been living in New Zealand since 2017, despite of her mother's job. Okay, so despite is used to introduce a contrast, but in this case here, you're looking for a reason, a cause and effect. Due to her mother's job, Cassie's family had been living in New Zealand. Okay, so the answer you should be using over here is to indicate a cause and effect, and that should be because. So well done for Shishi and Rock and Roll once again getting the right answers. Because of her mother's job. They had only recently moved back from Singapore 4 months ago. So this is yet another preposition mistake. You're not looking at from, but you're returning to a place. You should use to. Okay, well done. Moved back to Singapore 4 months ago. Cassie's form teacher had placed her in charge of introduce Anna to her classmates. This is a word form error. To be in charge of. Okay, looks like our two viewers over here are competing to get the answer right first. But other viewers, please feel free to chime in as well with your answers. Please do not feel as if you are interrupting any of the lesson here. Okay, please feel free to chime in. Introducing is correct, so well done once again to Rock and Roll. Well done once again to Shishi. Looks like it's pretty competitive between the two. Who will come out on top? Maybe there'll be a third viewer who is joining in to score the rest of the marks. Initially, Annie was very quiet. Cassie would always try to begin a conversation. How do you spell conversation? Okay, think about conversing, talking with someone, speaking with someone. Converse. And then conversation. Finish up with the noun. Okay. Well done, Gaia coming in again with conversation. And Shishi and Rock and Roll once again with the right answers. Well done, all three of you. Conversation with her. However, Annie could not be separated from her books. Okay, how do you spell separated? Okay. Separated starts off with S-E. P-A-R-A. Okay, take note, many students stumble on this portion over here. P-A-R-A. Okay. This is how you answer it. Okay. Okay. Now this question, this answer, even if you don't know how to spell separated, you can still get an answer. Do you know how? Do you know how you can get an answer even if you don't know how to spell separated? Look closely at the first sentence of this editing passage. What word do you see in the first line? Exactly, right? You see the word inseparable over here. So actually this is a pretty, I would say this is a pretty rare case where one of the answers can actually be found within the passage itself. So if you get this, congratulations. You stumble across a very lucky answer or a very lucky passage. But don't rely on tricks like this to solve the question, right? Always have the proper spelling in your minds. It's just that in this case here, you're lucky, or rather the P5 Mahabodhi students for this year were lucky that they got an answer that was given to them in the question itself already. Okay? So for students that still got this wrong, okay, please read carefully. Okay, this is really a surprise giveaway questions for students. Yeah. Annie could not be separated from her books. Cassie found Annie's accent very strange. I think it took some time for her to get used to it. The moment Annie got used to her new environment, okay. So environment is something you learn in science, you learn in social studies. Environment. Start end off with a T for the consonants. Alright? So take note, the spellings in the middle. Normally students drop the N before the M. Okay, so be careful over here. Okay. Alright, Gaia, if you have did this before, okay, great. But I think you misspelled inseparable in your comment also, Gaia. So not sure if that was an accident or if it was on purpose. Okay. Environment. She managed to find her own friends and Cassie did not have to accompany her anymore. How do you spell accompany? Accompany, A-double-C, and then company, right? Like a business, a company. So just be careful over here. It's a double C at the front. Okay. A-double-C, and then the regular company comes after. Okay. The following year, both girls ended up in the same class again. They started getting to know each other. Okay. So you see to over here. What comes after to? Grammar rule, you need it in the base form, right? The verb that comes after to must be in the base form. So they started to get to know each other. Well done. Both realized they had similar interests. How do you spell similar? Right, we see some spellings up here that is correct. Okay, similar. So just take note, it's a single M. Okay? Just one M, not two. Okay. Both realized they had similar interests. As a result, they choose to remain friends. Till today, their friendship remains strong. Okay. So we see ended, realized. These are all actions taking place in the past tense. So this should also be in the past tense. Alright, you see ended, we see realized, both in the past tense. This tells us that this verb also needs to follow along these lines, looking at chose. Okay, take note, the past tense of choose is chose, not choosed. Okay, chose. Okay. So well done. I think we've done very well on the grammar questions as well today. Good job for everyone who has gotten the right answer. Okay, good job Hans joining in for our last question. As well as everyone else who has gotten the right answer here for today. Okay, well done everyone for doing well in your editing passage. Okay. And with that, we come to the end of our editing passage, as well as the end of today's live session. Thank you everyone for joining in, dropping by on a Tuesday afternoon. I understand everyone is busy at their time, so thank you very much for taking your time out of your busy afternoons to join us for a live stream session. I hope over the past 1.5 hours and 4 sections, you've learned something useful and beneficial that you can take away from this. Okay. Thank you very much for joining in. Once again, we are Writers at Work. If you'd like to find out more about live stream sessions, feel free to check out our bio and TikTok page. We have shorts and snippets from previous live stream sessions on there. At the same time, we have longer form videos on our YouTube and Instagram page as well. Okay, so if you want to see longer videos with more specific and detailed exam techniques, feel free to drop by our YouTube page to check out these videos. Okay. Thank you very much for joining in. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.